Nigeria's ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, has postponed its convention by 1 month to March 26. Now, the party had announced an indefinite postponement of the convention previously set for February 26. But after a 7-hour high-powered amongst party stakeholders, now the APC fixed a new date for its zonal congresses. This new decision by the party's leadership hasn't come without criticisms, as some members fear foul play. Now, with the internal cracks festering and the current caretaker leadership of the party not on every member's good book, developments in the APC have become a national issue. Welcome to VSA. I'm Sulaiman. Well, the APC may finally have set a date for its convention, as the party's caretaker committee announced a new date, hours after postponing indefinitely. While some members have claimed that the move made by the party isn't in line with the APC's statutes, others have hailed the move as it gives the party enough time to clear its house. Insinuations have been made about the APC being controlled by some state governors, leading to stories which may not place the party in a strong position ahead of the 2023 elections. With the latest postponement being the third to be made by the party, Nigerians are beginning to suggest that the party has many battles on its hands, one of which is convincing every member that is out to protect their interests. Amid varying interest from members, the party has announced a calendar for its March convention, with activities for the convention commencing from February 24. The caretaker committee, led by Yobe State Governor Mai Mala Buni, has been accused by some members of the party of trying to penetrate into more powerful positions. Will APC stick to its current date or shift base again? Now, joining me to unpack this development in the party, Bwala, who will be joining us pretty much later. He's a member and a lawyer, member of Lincoln Hill in London, and Ayobami Oyalowo, who is a political and development economist. Ayo, good to see you, and thanks for your time. Quite an interesting, time in your party. What's really happening within the APC? This is the third date fixed for the National Convention.
Well, it's good evening, first and foremost, Sulaiman. If we had this conversation 48 hours ago, I would have been spitting fire because I was really, really angry. But after the meeting of yesterday by our leaders, the governors, and some others, young stakeholders that have been informed, have met with some other people, I believe we finally are approaching the end of the tunnel in this our long-winded journey towards a national convention. So yes, it has been very, unfortunate, the postponement we have had to put up with. Honestly, I can't really say this is why. Initially, I had said that it's a case of incompetence and deliberate foot dragging in order to carry out a hidden agenda. However, I am want to sheath my sword and believe that for the first time, whatever date they are bringing out looks more concrete and real. Because when they picked February 26th or the February 5th, the first pick in December, we told them clearly that February 26th was not feasible because it happens to be the date that there will be a by-election. And then when they fixed the date, we looked at all the parameters that you need to put in place, and indices you need to put in place to run a national convention. We couldn't see anything. No zoning arrangement, no committee to oversee this and oversee that, because an election, a convention of a governing party is a big deal. It's a national event. But we noticed that there was complete inaction from the CPC. However, with the pronouncement of yesterday evening, I am inclined to think we finally found some semblance of intelligence and sensibility. So we will keep the peace, we will follow up, and we will ensure that whatever they promised yesterday will be delivered. So we keep our fingers crossed.
Well, I quite interested in the information you've just given to Nigerians and party members, because many watching you now will be, calm and collected. And but the question now is that perhaps you should give more insight into what has won you this conviction. What were the conversations about that now? Yes, that now you've been able to say, okay, I sheathed my sword. Let's see how it goes.
You see, what we've been saying from the beginning is that those of us who are opposed to what Buni and his group have been doing, we do not hate the party. We do not plan to destroy the party. The only thing that is paramount to our heart is for the APC to succeed in its endeavor and to survive whatever challenges is in its way right now. But unfortunately, they were foot dragging. But what has made me a bit calmer right now is the honesty and sincerity of what transpired yesterday. While our usual people wanted to hush everything, my brother and friend, my elder brother, the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, was very forthright and honest. He told us everything that went down, how there was division initially about this or that, but they were able to come together. And I must also say, his presence in that meeting and a few other governors right now gave us confidence that now there will be sincerity of purpose. You see, he is a serious governor. He is working. So many other ones, they don't do anything. They're always in Abuja. They're always in the villa, always looking for how to scheme and how to manipulate things, but not this man. So if he is telling us, as one of the spokespersons yesterday, that yes, we have made up our mind, this is what we're going to do, and he assured us, I am inclined to believe that for the first time, reasonable reasoning has prevailed, and then we could see much action in the coming weeks. So, yes, we have every reason to be very skeptical based on the experiences we've had in the past few weeks, months.
Let me jump in here, Ayo. Sorry to butt in. Let me jump in here because good thing you just mentioned Malam El-Rufai and perhaps your belief in what he said to you and others, is on account of integrity. Some have actually been speaking about the APC. We've had people on this show who still think that there just might be an implosion. Now, with this latest development, some of the points raised against, Buni is that he's kept a close circle of confidence in some other state governors, and that is also affecting the decisions that have always come from that leadership.
Yeah, I agree. If you notice, I don't know if you heard me speak a few days ago, I said we are running the APC like a secret cult because only Buni and a few people sit down in one corner and concoct up all manner of nonsense and think they can force feed the rest of us. I remember how they came up with this last one. They say zonal congresses, and this is alien to us as APC. We never had this. So I was really, really angry at them, and a lot of other people were angry because these people are running the party in a way we do not understand, and they just seem to be doing whatever they think they want to do, and they believe nothing will happen. But however, with the intervention of more serious-minded governors yesterday, I believe we have reached the point where others have spoken. You see, what happened in the past is this. Because so many other people were not talking, these guys became so emboldened and they believed they could do anything and nothing is going to happen. But with the backlash of what went down after the unnecessary postponement of February 26th original date, more people have been made to realize that if you do not do anything, these guys will sink our party. So as it is right now, I believe clearly that since more of our leaders have woken up to the reality of what we have been screaming at and shouting, right now, there is really not much room for maneuver and wriggling for them. So they can't scheme as they used to because every other person has taken a position, and that position is a popular position. Also, don't forget, in their scheming and their unnecessary maneuver, we have lost the DG of the progressive governors. These are part of the problem. These few people just sat down and they were running the party like it's a personal fiefdom, which is pretty painful and unfortunate because the APC as a governing party is a party that must be seen to be above board. It's a party that is running the life of every Nigerian. Therefore, whether people are part of our party as members or they are just part of the party as normal citizens, they deserve some form of respect by the leadership of the party, which we have not been receiving. But yesterday we got a candid and honest take of what happened in their meeting. So right now we feel more comfortable, we feel more confident. However, that doesn't mean we're going to go to sleep. We will still be on our toes. We watch what is going on. We will push what we need to push, and hopefully this time around they will do what is right by our party.
I was actually coming to that because you're one Nigerian who's always been, a party man, and you saw this party come together, the formation of this party as a very young Nigerian. Now, are there things, handwritings on the wall or voices not heard that you think is working against the party, that's your party?
I don't think somebody is working against the party. Of course, the opposition will always work against you because they want your seat, but that is not the problem. The problem we had is a few people, because of their selfish, greedy ambition, think they can do anything and get away with it because clearly it is obvious whoever the APC presents in 2023 is going to be the president of Nigeria. For that reason, everybody is positioning. And there's nothing wrong in that. Having ambition to be president is a good thing. Or having ambition to be vice president is a good thing. However, you must not destroy a party, an entire ship you cannot sink simply because of your personal and private ambition. Ambition is good, but it has to be within the ambit of the law. It has to be within the ambit of common sense. When people begin to rigmarole, you had 6 months to do only one thing: conduct a national convention. You got an extra 6 months, and then you keep playing around, lying, doing all manner of things that you're not supposed to do, bringing in defectors. Thank you for bringing defectors, but that is not your business. That is not why you were constituted. You were constituted to conduct a national convention. And these people have done every other thing aside the original job they were originally constituted to do. So this has been the anger. So I don't think anybody is working against us. I think a few of our people who are privileged to be in position of authority see this as an opportunity to get what they think they can get, which is not a bad thing in itself if you do it correctly. But the way they are going about it is very dangerous, it's very inimical, and it could have caused an implosion in the party if it was not quickly nipped in the bud. However, we are grateful that common sense seems to have prevailed over this issue. As it
you just said that whoever the APC fields will become president, and that's quite an interesting statement. More interesting names have been thrown up as interested in the presidency. So, what do you think will guide the party's choice?
Well, what will guide the party's choice would be a lot of things. Right now, whether we like it or not, President Muhammadu Buhari, in his own right, has done very well in so many aspects of our national development. You see, Nigeria cannot claim to be an island. People have gone around and say all manner of nonsense. Oh, there is hunger, there is this, there is that. But if you look at it, you cannot situate Nigeria as an island. You have to situate it in the context of the global world that we belong in. First and foremost, when this man became president, the first thing that happened was that Nigeria was already going into recession. We were already contracting. So when he came in, the recession became full blown. As at the time he became president, we were selling a barrel of crude for $23, which was almost lower than even the amount that you would need to refine each barrel. So as at that time, our economy was in comatose. But this man pulled us out. And as we speak today, instead of Nigeria spending almost half of his foreign exchange earnings on importation of rice and wheat and other grains, today we are full sufficient in those areas. And I keep telling everybody who want to hear me that assuming we were not producing enough food for ourselves, what would have happened when the pandemic hit and the world was closed down for almost 6 months? What will have happened to Nigeria? How would we have survived this pandemic? How would we have fared ourselves if we had to depend on people? Don't want to see this. Oh, we are hungry, but the whole world is actually hungry. What makes our own better is at least we can feed ourselves. And despite the fact that people will say, oh, rice is expensive, this is expensive, we can at least find it. It becomes even more dangerous when whether it is cheap or expensive, you can't even find it. So it's done well in terms of agriculture and feeding Nigerians. It's done well in terms of tackling insecurity. Yes, insecurity might have spread in terms of kidnapping and banditry, but if you situate it in the context of the global war that we are in, all over the world, arms manufacturers want to sell, and they are pushing the agenda. France is creating so much problem in the sub-Saharan. If you look at Mali, you look at Chad, you look at so many other countries. So, and these people are our neighbors. So clearly we are being affected by these things. But what President Buhari has done that people are not even giving him kudos for is that rather than steal money meant for equipping our armed forces, he has made the Nigerian forces the 35th strongest army in the world. As I speak to you in Africa today, we're number 1 in terms of air power. So our Air Force has suddenly from number 4 or 5 that it was, jumped to number 1 because of the investment President Buhari has made.
Ayo, these are things that will, inform the conversations leading up to 2023 election. Security,
True.
Agriculture, infrastructural development. And I'll come back to you so that you can address some of these key things as a development economist. Let me welcome Daniel Bwala, a legal practitioner and also a member of the ruling APC. Daniel, thanks for your time. And we've had this conversation. We started off speaking with Ayo, and he's said that the latest development in your party has given him a sense of calm and belief that all will be well now that a new date has been fixed. Let us in on how this whole politics has played out until this moment in your party. A lot of back and forth and postponement, and now a date has finally been fixed for March 26th.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I said I apologize, first of all, because of technical glitches, but I said I want to congratulate Ayo because were it not for people like Ayo who decided against all odds to speak out, probably we may not have been able to see what we saw in the last 24, 48 hours. And that's why you must salute people in a political party who at some point will have to speak out of the passion they have for the party they so work tirelessly to build. We are happy with the development, but going forward, like I told the stakeholder in our party, we must leave behind a legacy of constitutional democracy. Constitutional democracy is a democracy that is guided by constitutional provision, meaning the party will have to act out the provisions of their constitution. And so the legacy that I look forward to the president leaving behind is a legacy that would dissolve and disband what we call the Progressive Governors Forum. Because in the last year, it is Progressive Governors Forum that run the party, not even the caretaker committee. They happen to have 1 or 2 persons heading the caretaker committee that are part of the Progressive Forum. And the Progressive Governors Forum is not recognized by our constitution. So what we have been running away from, what we've been criticizing from PDP, we have now become guilty of because the provision of the constitution is clear regarding the hierarchy decision making. You have convention, you have the NEC, and the NEC goes beyond just the governors There are stakeholders of the party, and their words are not heard. They have not been part of decision making in the past 1.5 years. And it is not supposed to be. And then you bring it down to the down line. Then the second thing that we must work towards dealing with, if we can refine, is this concept of consensus. I, for one, believe in consensus, but in Africa, you need to tweak and redefine consensus, because consensus in Africa now is another word for imposition. It's a refined word. It's a politically correct word for imposition. It is just like when you see corruption, finding a politically correct word as lobby. So that is what we are doing, because the procedure, even by our party's constitution regarding consensus, we don't adhere to it. Because the party's constitution says when you reach a consensus, the evidence of the consensus must be demonstrated. Consensus must be demonstrated by either a vote or a show of hands. Meaning that if one person from amongst the stakeholders declines to consent, that means we'll have to revert back to the other 2 points. Now we are arriving at a point where the chairman of the party will be decided by a consensus. And only God knows the parameters that will be used in arriving at that. We are going to the bigger fix, because I see a situation where even the emergence of the presidential candidate of the party might be pushed towards the direction of a consensus, which will mean that those who control the party can disenfranchise people who have the capacity to take us to the 2023 election and win election for us. You see, because 2023 election, we can only win it if we send individuals that has structure across Nigeria, that has political goodwill across Nigeria, that is widely accepted by the Nigerian people, and that has the capacity to fund his campaign. Because you see, we have what we call a transition. The first and second term of President Muhammadu Buhari cannot be the same with the next level that we're going. Because the 8 to 9 million vote bank we've been boasting about will not be there for us to take. And if President Muhammadu Buhari, with all of the vote bank and all of us coming together compact, we were only able to defeat people like Atiku with 2 million votes. You can imagine an election we're going into without the vote bank of President Muhammadu Buhari, and maybe, just maybe, without a candidate that will be able to challenge that. As somebody who is close to the party, I've had a lot of conversation around chairman that is likely to emerge, presidential candidate that's likely to emerge. From the present conversation, I don't think our conversation or what we are hearing, whether it be rumor or true, is tilting towards a candidate that can win election for us. Now, I don't want to say I support this person or I don't support this, but I want us to come to a point where in this transitional democracy, let us go into election. So the production of a chairman having zone to North Central must come by way of election. The emergence of a presidential flag bearer must necessarily come by election, whether direct or indirect. But the idea of consensus, I'm afraid, the way we define it and the way we're applying it in the party.
Well, Daniel, I'll stay with you for a bit before I go to Ayo, so that Ayo can also give his own perspective on some of these key things you raised. And it comes back to the talk of consensus. There's a subtle consensus that the presidential candidate should come from, I think, looking at the headlines today, from south of the country. If you do agree, perhaps let's start talking about why your party looked the way of the South, because you said whoever should fly the party's flag must be someone who is widely accepted, who has the network and the reach, and you also made mention that the person should be able to fund that election. Daniel.
Yes, but first of all, I'm 1,000% in support of a candidate of our party coming from the South, because that's the conversation, that's the movement, that's the flow, and it's an idea whose time has come. If we make a mistake of producing a candidate from the North, it is not just going to be a disaster, but it's going to be like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So given it is going to the South. But whilst we move it to the South, how are we going to get the candidate out? It seems even though it has gone to the South, it's still going to be a discussion for consensus. That's my problem. Because if you say you're going to do consensus to produce a candidate that you have zoned to the South, let me tell you a few things. The South will have to prove, first of all, you cannot pick a candidate for picking's sake, because the rumors I'm hearing now is that PDP is likely going to produce Atiku and Wike. Believe me, if we don't produce formidable candidate with Atiku and Wike, it will be difficult to beat. Because Wike can clearly give you the Niger Delta. Entire Niger Delta, he can give it to you. And Atiku, because of his relationship with different parts of Nigeria, you cannot conclude or say that he has lost his goodwill. But on the other hand, when you come to us, there are just one or two people in our party today that nobody can deny the fact that they are established politicians with wider reach, with wider structure and capacity to fund their campaign. So if by consensus, let's say individuals who control the party go and produce someone that is not known to political process, whether in the guise of a technocrat or even a politician, but from amongst them, and it is not a candidate that can match these guys in PDP, it means we are going into an election that even before the game starts, it's like a football, a game over even before the match starts. We must look at that. So to me, instead of me saying this is my candidate, you say this is your candidate, the best way we can do is to put this thing to test. Let any candidate who feels from the southern Nigeria that he has his mettle, let him prove his popularity. And then when we get a candidate from there, everybody will be happy that the emergence of this person is by a popular vote. And then we will give the support. If you do consensus and age out certain critical people in our party, believe me, in 2023 election, that might be our albatross. Our albatross might be the people who are disenfranchised might decide to push their voting back to another party, just so we don't win it. But if you go through election, whether direct or indirect, and the person emerges, then everybody will accept that, look, I tried, but my effort was not good enough. And then we have to accept this person that won. And let's come together as a party and build. It is very, very critical. It is very critical.
Let me bring in Ayo. Ayo, you've heard Daniel, and he's talked about the character and qualities of anyone that your party should bring up. And he's already, gazing across your party, looking at the biggest opposition, saying that, look, if your party decides to make a false start or some kind of error in judgment in terms of providing a flag bearer, it just might be doomed for the party just even before the elections.
You saw me nodding and thumbing up to him when he was talking. That means I agree with most of what he said. Clearly, I don't know if Daniel has been following some of my speeches on TV and on every other place. I have been an advocate against our form of consensus. While I agree that in the world, consensus is a part of the political process, I am in 100% support of what he said, that what we call consensus here is nothing but forceful imposition of the will of those people who think they control the machinery of the party. And if we're going to do consensus, that type of consensus always breeds bad blood. So, like Daniel said, I am 101% with him that our convention must be elective. It must be an elective convention, not the one we go there, sit in a room and force feed one person on all of us. Because some of the names I'm also hearing is already scaring me. If we're going to have a national chairman and we'll put some very ancient people who can't even run around, because this thing is going to take a lot of grit, take a lot of intelligence, it will take a lot of intellect, it will take a lot of planning, it will take a lot of character and physical strength. We don't want tired people who you want to just impose on. We've been hearing some very funny
let me push this in quickly, and this is to you, Ayo. Since after the time of your party, your former party chairman, Adams Oshomole, a lot of people have been expecting your party to come up with someone that can, surpass his influence and in the party. Are there people with such, character or even better in your party to drive?
We have. I look at the areas, I do not want to do a campaign for anybody, but from the top of my head, I can mention 3 excellent people that will run this party very well.
Ayo, by all means, if you want to mention names, let's situate these right here on the program.
Okay, from the top of my list, I have this very young, brilliant man who is my age mate, so I would always support him first. Saliu is an age mate, he's a smart young man. I think it's a very
is it the one from Nigeria's North Central?
Yeah, he's from Kwara State, the Turaki of Ilorin. We have, Almakura has worked very hard. I have to give it to him. He's done a lot to reach out to people. And there's another man called Senator 313. Mohammed Musa, or is it Sani? I keep mixing his name up. Those are the three that just rushed to my head. These are people who have names, who have integrity, who can push. By no means they are the best only. I mean, they are just the ones that I like. And these are people that can match and do better than the Yochiayu that the other party has. And we have to match intellect that is better than theirs. We have to bring people with integrity, people who don't have baggages that will now have to start defending their corruption past. I mean, their corrupt past, that will have to be going to the FCC and then be showing solidarity because they have been alleged to be thieves, even whether we know or we don't know that. I don't want a chairman that has the FCC case. So yes, we must have a very decent chairman that will win an election, not the one that will impose on us because it's either your friend, is one of you, or whatever box it ticks for these people. So I am with Daniel in support of that. We must have an elective convention. And also, in terms of presidential candidate, I'm also with him 100%. We must have election. For heaven's sake, we are a democratic party. If we are going to look at us, we are supposed to be modeled after the Democrats in the United States of America. We are more of the center of the left. So if we are a democratic party, why should somebody sit down somewhere and impose someone on the rest of us? They say we are 41 million members. So how can 41 million people be so docile that a few, 5, 6, 10 people will sit down and put one man on our head? We don't want that. Let there be an election so that we don't have what happened in Anambra happening to us again. Somebody just went to Anambra and wrote 1 million people voted for one person, and when the election day came, we didn't see 50,000 people. Now, this is the nonsense we do when we begin to impose on people. Because what happened was all the disenfranchised party members just went back to their homes and refused to support the party. So it was easy for the opposition party to win the election without a whimper from us. So we do not want that to happen in the national election. Like you rightly said, when you impose, people get angry. They either don't vote on the election day or they vote against the party, just so that they will show you Pepe in our local palace. So let people run for election. Let the election be carried out. Then if somebody lost in a free and fair contest, a decent person will support the winner, knowing fully well that, look, I wasn't cheated, I wasn't forced out, I lost because this man was better. And he will join the train. I mean, see what happened in 2015. We had an elective convention. And when President Muhammadu Buhari emerged as the winner, the remaining 4 candidates supported him. There was no rancor. But
let me bring in Daniel.
I was on the stadium that day. I saw the way the election went. I was one of the officers who actually, I wasn't the electoral officer, but I was the agent, one of the agents to clear the voters. And it was so smooth. It was so neat.
All right,
so that
let me jump in here. Let me bring in Daniel. I beg your pardon. Let me bring in Daniel. Daniel, listening to Ayo, we'll come back to the candidates, but again, still around this talk of consensus candidate. And the argument now is that your party must be very careful not to field an unwanted candidate that may cost the party victory in the 2023 election. But take us back. Is it too long a time? Why is it taking too long a time for your party to have a national chairman since after Adams Oshiomhole? Because many still think that it's getting longer than necessary for you to have an interim national chairman drive this process for a national election.
Established at the beginning, I was critical of that, but later I was made to understand that, look, the party has to move on. The reason I was critical at the time was because I was advisor to Adams Oshiomhole on policy and good governance, and the way he was removed was quite unconstitutional. But we decided to rally around the advice and admonition of the president not to make an issue out of it. So I started supporting the caretaker committee. They roll out programs which were quite fine, beginning with regularization. They come into various Congress, they were fantastic. But when they came to the point where we were to now schedule a date for convention, and then as the convention come close, you are shifting it and shifting it, I don't blame people that raise eyebrow and people that raise issues, because Those who criticize it, they criticize it with facts. It's not just spurious allegation. But I'm happy now. It has become a sacrosanct issue. And they have rolled out activities leading to the convention and the date for convention. You have heard, it is not just individuals in our party, people like Ayo, who express their will. Even among the governors, you had their reply said, look, there was a disagreement amongst us as to that timing. So that means what these ordinary members of the party are expressing here and there resonated, because even among the progressive governors forum, there are people who share the same view. Now we're giving benefit of doubt, having been told that so the convention will come, we'll work towards it. And we are hopeful that when that day comes, there will be convention. You see, people like Ayo and myself and a few others, we are the future of the party. Most of the people who are in control of the party and doing one or two, in the next 5-10 years, they will not be around political activities. We are the future, and that's why we cannot, imagine in the last 7 years, I invest my life and everything to this party and to this government, to the point even the president acknowledged that. So can we now build to the point where we come here and then because of one admonition or consideration or the other not be able to speak out? We will speak out. You know, some of the sacrifices, the pain of speaking out is the reason why there are many people you see today defending the party, they are not in government, because they speak the truth to power. Some people want a situation where you leak everybody's book. But if people go wrong, we speak against it. If they go right, we support it. Unfortunately for us in the party, when you speak against certain people who are appointees of the president, when your name is mentioned and you are being considered for a point, they will be the one around there and they will talk down your name. But you only get worried if this appointment is all you're gunning for in your life. When you are
Daniel, you started off this conversation, Daniel, quickly here. Allow me butt in again. You started off this conversation by commending Ayo for speaking out, nationally, to the extent that after that outburst, there's been some form of decorum. Now, let's talk about those you have called the future of the party, young party men and women like yourselves. How easy is it a ride to be a young politician or party faithful, as the case may be?
Well, generally in Nigeria, their own understanding of a party faithful is a bootlicker. But we know what it means to be patriotic, and we choose that path whether we are praised or not, knowing fully well that a man with vision outlives men with impression. And so we keep pushing and never deterred by whether you enjoy one favor or the other, because first of all, you have your own way of sustenance, and so you are not deterred by that. So the idea of a young party member, you must be characterized by patriotism. And you know that patriotism is anchored in the pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest. What it takes to be faithful, loyal, and honest, that honesty is still part of it. And that honesty means to speak truth, however politely, to power. You cannot tell me you're faithful if you are not honest. And you are not honest when you cannot bring truth to your people. So faithful, and your loyalty is demonstrated not by what the Igbos call otinku, people who speak only in your presence, but they speak against you. In this my little life in the party, I have seen people, some even occupying government position at ministerial level. They don't even talk a bit in favor of this government. But when you see them with the government official, they speak like that. That's not our definition of loyalty. When you meet us outside defending the party, we do that with our lives. And so when we are able to speak to the people in authority, we're able to politely also tell them what we believe the truth. So we build a future party when all of us can come together to consider patriotism over patronage.
Before we go back talking about the convention, let me bring this to Ayo. How easy has it been, as a party man, to maintain such a kind of objective, ideas and opinions? Because at one point, you are with perhaps the majority, and at another point, some people think that you are actually against your party. Is that the way to go? Listening to Daniel, he calls that calls that patriotism at its peak.
I want to say thank you to Daniel, and if he's in Abuja, please, I would like to take him out for a drink tonight or next time he's available. He said something that is very germane. For some of us, if you know me, anybody who sees me will say I'm a defender of the government, and I never hide my mouth. I say what I believe. I defend the government actions when I believe it is right. However, because of my forthrightness and outspokenness, I know I have suffered a lot. Some things I will not be able to say here on air, but he has said it all. Those people who are benefiting from the government, they go around the leaders and say all manner of rankadidi to them. But when they are not there, the kind of curses and evil things they say to them. Unlike me, I say what I believe. I carry my passion on my sleeves. I wear my heart on my sleeves. I will support this party to the ends of the earth. I will support this government to the ends of the earth. However, when things are not going right, I will not lie to myself and say it is right. I don't come here to call white black or black white. When Buni was, first of all, mentioned, if anybody could find the tape, I was one of the people who rallied around him, believing he was a gentleman, he was a calm guy, and he was going to do the right thing. But when he began to misbehave and misdo things, I clearly objected to it. And it is not a personal thing for me. If I see him tomorrow, I will still greet him because he's my leader. And God knows I have nothing against him personally. However, when it comes to the issue of being principled, I stand on some firm principle. I will not be like some of these guys who, when they sing the shape of APC today, they will rush to the PDP. It's not my way. I won't do that. I built this party with others. No matter how small my contribution was, from the day this party was formed, I was a member. I joined the young people to even have a party of youth before the main merger was even announced. So I am not a fly-by-day APC member. I didn't just come in because things have worked out. I didn't even know we were going to win an election. I put in everything. Therefore, for us, like he rightly said, it's not about what we are going to get or what we will not be getting.
Let me tell you why I asked that question, Ayo, before we bring in Daniel. That question is because of the argument that young Nigerians are busy on social media without actively participating in politics. For instance, the voter registration and key other issues. And they say if you talk about the veteran politicians, they know how to play the game and they're still very much in the game, unlike young Nigerians. So I decided to ask you that question. Before we go to Daniel, what are those things you expect, now speaking as a Nigerian and not as an APC member, do you think young Nigerians are ready for such generational change?
I've told them a few things, the young ones on the social media. First and foremost, there are no polling booths on Twitter and Facebook. Go get your PVC. First and foremost, you must be registered to vote. But beyond that, in terms of political participation, it should go beyond just voting. You should participate. I have personally encouraged a lot of people to join the APC. But if you don't like the APC, there are other parties you can join. You see, the thing with young people is that they think they can just get angry and burn down the city to the government house. It never works that way. You have to join. And I keep giving an example of this lady, I forgot her name now, the lady who worked for 10 years in a city in the United States, a state that has never been won by Democrats, but she spent 10 years of her life educating people, moving, and she was able to finally get the blue, that state became blue in the last election, which means Democrats won the city. I mean, the state has never been won for a very long time. So for the young people, we've been begging them, don't just get your PVC, also be a part of the vote, a part of the political processes, so that if we come in a large number, you can influence decision. You cannot influence anything by abusing people on social media. You can only influence things by being a part, because in this democratic process, at your ward level, your state level, you vote to get things done. If you don't join them, it's like a beauty contest. If your mother is the most beautiful woman and she doesn't come out to obtain the form, she's not going to participate. But the ones that bought the forms are the ones that will be presented on the day of the pageant, and one of them will be chosen as a winner. So for you to be able to influence who will be the candidate, who will stand for election, you must be a part of the process by joining a political party. And angels do not run parties. Human beings do. And you must be a part of those human beings before you can now say, yes, I am truly a part of the process.
So Daniel, quickly here, has the APC done enough or shown enough in terms of stability, democratic tenets, and even capacity to lead Nigeria further from here?
I think APC is a work in progress, quite frankly. If we look at where we were and where we are today, there is progress. However, we can debate here whether or not the speed, the velocity that we give to our progress, whether we could have done more or we're doing less. But surely we are moving. And when you see greater participation of young people in APC, for example, if you look at PDP, the young people are not very, very vocal. They are all hidden under individuals. In the last 6 years, if you run, you as a media mogul, if you run through the media, you will see that more young people in APC have been speaking out. More people in APC, in APC, have been trying their luck in elected position. You know, before we were talking, and people say, "Stop talking. You have to be a part of it." Then I took the bold step to run for Senate. I know as a private legal practitioner how the money I raised and how I spent it. I travel as far as to the United States to consult with a serving senator, just so I can enrich my mind. Because I know I don't have the money that people who can be sponsored by governors. So I wanted to know how people in America do it through community organizing. I came and I attempted that. In the FCT here, I saw in our political party the imposition we're talking about. But it is not deterring me. I'm not giving up. We'll come back again. And what they do, the fallacy they tell young people, and I'm glad Ayo has been able to bring it out. The fallacy they tell young people is that they will tell you that there are many more things that young people will do. Why are you only thinking about elected position? Go into this, go into that. Young people are proving themselves in every field of life, in sports, in entertainment, in science and technology, in IT. There's no part of this world in terms of economic development that the young people in Nigeria have not proven themselves. There is only one window, one ceiling that these people refuse to allow young people, and that is to run for office. And running for office does not mean the president. You know, there are many offices. If we invade the National Assembly, we are beginning to change laws for the Nigeria we want. We'll be able to push somebody amongst us to be a president someday. If we all gone only for presidency and forget about other critical area where we can effect the change, then that will be where the problem is. We can even run for positions in our political party so we can determine the emergence of people. So, for example, flood into this convention, run for offices in the national convention so you can have your party people there. And float everywhere there is a political participation in the hope that one day we can force it. The truth of the matter.
So let's close on the convention matter, and it's going to go to both of you, but let's start with you, Daniel, before we wrap up with Ayo. There are insinuations that the March convention may lead to new intentions by members. So do you think the APC can break up, considering its current
Okay,
pressure?
no, the convention will hold. But if this convention does not hold, I guarantee you that this caretaker committee will be dissolved.
So, Ayo?
I totally agree with him. I believe the caretaker committee is in its last chance salon. Hold this convention peacefully or be kicked out disgracefully. It's the last last chance salon for them.
And I didn't allow you, Ayo, to react talk about young people. He's giving us his own.
Well, let me quickly say something in a minute then.
No, you can take more than a minute.
I've told our young people that this idea of people coming to want to be president is very not a smart idea. Go to your local government, contest for councillorship, you may not even contest for chairman, go councillor, go to the state houses of assembly, come to the House of Rep. And that is one of the reasons why I have decided that I was going to run, and I'm still going to run for the House of Representatives. We need to look at those critical areas. Everybody seems fixated on being president.
Let me do this, please. Let's quickly now. That's a new one here, especially on the program. Tell us, Ayo, why are you running?
I'm running because I believe I have what it takes to help make better laws for Nigerians without fear or favor. I believe that the best way to effect a change in democratic setting is through proper lawmaking. Unfortunately, people are not seeing it. Okay, for instance, people wake up tomorrow and they say, oh, we want restructuring. You ask what is restructuring, they don't know what it is. Okay, who will give you this? Say President Buhari. President Buhari cannot change the law. It is the state, it is the National Assembly that can change the law and then get 2/3 of the state's assembly to also accept it before any law can be changed in our constitution. Unfortunately, people want to be president just because they know they will not win. You just want to have it in your bio that a former presidential candidate. It doesn't make sense. Let us be realistic as young people. Like my brother Daniel has said, let's flood the party organs. Let young people contest organizing secretary, spokesperson for the party. Go for so many positions.
Daniel actually used the word.
Elective posts.
Daniel actually used the word. He said invade. Let's invade. So is it possible to have a lot of young people coming in?
If we support ourselves, yes.
So anyway, I think we're closing, but quickly, I'd like Daniel to weigh in on this. When you use that phrase, that young people should invade the National Assembly, go all out and be a part of your country's politics. Some are wondering, well, Daniel, you did try, and now Ayo is going to try. What can you tell us to encourage us to, throw our hearts in the ring?
I will give Ayo all the support in the world, contact, everything, because we believe people should keep hitting. Look at the National Assembly Senate now. It's gradually becoming a retired home for governors because we've made it conducive for them to find themselves there. The idea is that all over the world, the approach for young people to take over is called disruptive. Nobody gives you power, you take it by force. Somebody once asked me, why do you want to run? I said, because the fire is on the mountain.
So you have to run. Many thanks for being such a nice company. I do hope I have you both again in the days ahead. Many thanks for being such a nice company, Daniel Bwala and Ayobami Oyalowo, and congratulations and success in your political aspirations. To our viewers across 54 African countries, many thanks for watching. Bye-bye.